When I was growing up, I used to watch a show called Survivor, and I was so pumped up for the finale. I watched it every single year with my family, and I kind of feel the same way about making this final video, the finale of ranking the top 50 baseball players going into 2020. I've had a ton of fun so far. I hope that you guys did as well. There was a lot of debate, there was a lot of hate, and I enjoyed every second of it, so thank you guys. And remember guys, this was a full series, so if you missed it, go all the way back to episodes 1 through 4. And just to recap episode number 4, the last one that we made, a lot of people said that Francisco Lindor should have been ranked higher, and then yet again, I was spammed by comments saying Javier Baez should have been in the top 20. And then also, George Springer got a ton of love that he should have been higher up on the list as well. But aside from that, I got a lot of comments saying that they agree with my pick, so thank you guys. Without further ado, the 10th best baseball player going into 2020. Take it away, man.
He drives one deep left field.
Merry Christmas, you filthy animal.
So all jokes aside, the 10th best player in my opinion, and this one's going to be a little bit controversial because number 10 through 8 are all going to be pitchers, because in my mind, a guy that plays every 1 out of 5 days is not more valuable than an everyday player. So 10 through 8 pitchers, and then 7 through 1 all positional players. So don't get it twisted. I think that Justin Verlander, Garrett Cole, and Jacob deGrom are all beasts, just not more valuable than a guy that plays 155 or 160 games. Justin Verlander won the 2019 Cy Young and continues to show the world that age really doesn't mean anything if you know how to pitch. He has the control down. He's got the velocity still. He ended 2019 with an insane .80 whip. Now, he did not look great in the playoffs, and maybe that's playing into my whole idea that he is not better than Garrett Cole going into 2020. Plus, the Astros are not going to be the same team in terms of their rotation, so a lot of pressure is going to be on Justin Verlander. I think that Cole, he has the slight edge going forward. I'm going to make the argument for him in just a second, but Justin Verlander, he won the Cy Young. He's married to Kate Upton. He's not going to watch this video, so if you're an Astros fan, don't get too butthurt, okay? Verlander's not offended by this. It's top 10 in the world. How can you be hurt by that? The reason why I'm putting Garrett Cole slightly ahead of Justin Verlander going into 2020 is because of age and how dominant Garrett Cole was in 2019. Do you guys realize that he had more strikeouts and less innings? They basically had the same ERA, but when you come down to the final statistic of who's going to be nastier, that's what I'm going with. I know that a lot of people are going to make up this fantasy argument that it's all about giving up less amount of runs. Well, then Hyun-Jin Ryu would be the best player in baseball. So let's not get lazy here. Wait, hold on. I'm looking at the stats right now. Garrett Cole actually had a better ERA than Justin Verlander. He led the league in strikeouts with 326. He led baseball with 185 ERA plus and a 2.64 FIP. He also had a 13.8 strikeouts per 9. This might be a different video for a different day, but was Garrett Cole robbed of the Cy Young? I'm looking at the stats, and aside from whip, I mean, what the heck? We've talked about Justin Verlander as the number 10 guy. Garrett Cole will be followed up at the number 9 spot. And then last but not least for our pitchers in this entire series is going to be Jacob deGrom. I don't care what argument that you make that Garrett Cole was better than deGrom in 2019. I'm with you on that one. But the fact that deGrom is a back-to-back Cy Young Award winner, he had a 1.7 ERA in 2018. He followed it up with not the same campaign, but he was just as good. His team, the Mets, they're not going to give him the win, so don't look at the win-loss record. If you do, again, that's a very lazy argument, just like saying it's all about ERA. It's not. There are other factors that go into it. He's been top 10 in MVP now 2 seasons in a row. He ended 2019 with a 2.43 ERA, 255 strikeouts, and just over 200 innings. So yes, I think that Jacob deGrom is a little bit higher up on my list before Garrett Cole, considering his track record. And I mean this with every fiber of my heart. If I need one game to win me a World Series, I'm picking Jacob deGrom every single time. He's that good. He's that reliable. I love me some deGrom. So now that we have all of these starting pitchers out the way, the only reason why they are not in the top 7 is because, again, I feel like positional players, they get more money usually per contract, and that's because they can play a full 162 games as opposed to an elite starting pitcher making 34 starts. So I just think they're more valuable. And with that being said, my number 7 best player going into 2020 is going to be the brand new shiny 23rd baseman of the Los Angeles Angels, Anthony Rendon. We were blessed last year with all of these guys. You can pretty much flip-flop any single one of them aside from our number one spot. We'll get to that in just a second. But Anthony Rendon, he broke out with a career year, 34 home runs. He led the National League in all of baseball with 126 RBIs. He finished the season with a 10-10 OPS and only struck out 86 times. But the reason why he's not ahead of someone like Nolan Arenado, who is still one of the best third basemen in baseball. Is he the best? We'll talk about that. But Nolan Arenado plays platinum defense, whereas Anthony Rendon, he had a 2 defensive run season, so he's still pretty decent at the third base position, but he is not going to have a Matt Chapman season. He's not going to win you 5 Gold Gloves. For that reason, while he does rake, I am going to rank him outside the top 5, but number 7 in the entire world, Angels fans, that's nothing to scoff at. That's amazing. It's still insane to me that Nolan Arenado has not won an MVP, and I think the simple reason is baseball writers are not giving him the proper due diligence simply because he plays in Coors Field. Everyone negates their superstars in Colorado because of the Coors Field effect. I understand it's a real thing. I actually used it against Trevor Story, and I love Trevor Story, but Nolan Arenado, he's going to play 155 plus games every single season. I can pretty much guarantee that he's going to do that in 2020. I'm going to knock on wood so I don't jinx that. He's going to give you 40 plus home runs, usually 120 plus RBIs, a 950 OPS with platinum defense. How can you argue with that? But in my opinion, going into 2020, as good as Nolan Arenado is, he is not the best third baseman in baseball anymore. Yeah, we'll talk about it soon, but it's not Arenado. Before we talk about the new best third baseman in baseball, I want to bring up a name that maybe some of you might be surprised by to put ahead of guys like Anthony Rendon and Nolan Arenado, but I still have Mookie Betts in my top 5. And if you don't have him in your top 5, I think you just don't value all-around game. He's a true 5-tool player. He led the league last year with 135 runs, so he's going to get on base, so he's got the contact down. He had 29 home runs, so he's got the power. He had 80 RBIs. 16 stolen bases, which is a little bit low for Mookie Betts. I think that his speed is very underrated. He ended 2019 with a 915 OPS, and he does not play in Coors Field, so I think that that does boost him up just a little bit ahead of Nolan Arenado. And you cannot make the case that Arenado is better defensively because Mookie just won his 4th consecutive Gold Glove in a row, and I just think when you combine all of his stats, he also won the 2018 MVP, so there's that. We're talking about a non-MVP versus an MVP. I love Nolan Arenado, but at this point in their careers, I think that Mookie Betts is a little bit more valuable because of the all-around game, the speed, the defense, the contact, the power. It's all there, and Mookie Betts is my 5th best baseball player going into 2020. So who's at number 4? Yeah, the best third baseman in baseball now. The only reason why this one might be controversial is because of what the team did behind the scenes, the whole banging in the trash cans. I understand why some of you guys might be mad and upset and annoyed that I'm putting Alex Bregman inside the top 5 at number 4 and claiming that he is the best third baseman in baseball. I'm looking at the stats right now and I can't argue with it. He had 41 home runs, 112 RBIs. He had a 1.015 OPS, which was just behind Mike Trout and Christian Yelich. And then the thing that impresses me the most, look at his walks to strikeouts. He had 119 walks to 83 strikeouts. That is mind-boggling. The last time that we've seen something like that was honestly Barry Bonds, because the stats that Alex Bregman put up in 2019 had only been done a handful of times, and every other time before they had won the MVP. That shows just how good Mike Trout is, the winner of the 2019 MVP, but I refuse to negate Alex Bregman and his stats in 2019. He was an absolute historic player, and I'm going to give him his props. At the number 4 spot, Bregman. So if you know anything about baseball, you know that the final 3 players on this list are Cody Bellinger, Christian Yelich, and Mike Trout. And in my opinion, that's the order that it should be going into 2020. Mike Trout is the best player. No one is going to argue with that. We'll talk about him in just a second. But Cody Bellinger is coming in at the 3 spot, and Christian Yelich is at the number 2 spot. Let me break it down real quick, and I think I might be able to convince you guys. But if you're a Dodgers fan, you're going to leave your dislike. You're going to hate me. I don't care. This is my list. Cody Bellinger finished with a 9 WAR in 2019 with 47 home runs, 115 RBIs, 15 stolen bases, and he had a crazy 21 combined DRS. Between first base and right field, he was he didn't win the Platinum Glove, so he wasn't the best defender. He could easily win the conversation as best defender at both positions. The only thing is, though, if we take a look at his stats, his OPS decreased every single month. And he won MVP because of his defensive stats, and he played more games than Christian Yelich. I'm fully convinced that if Yelich plays as many games as Cody Bellinger, he's a 2-time MVP winner. And one thing I do want to bring up is 2018. We're going to compare 2018 Yelich and 2018 Bellinger because I am going to take longevity and consistency into this conversation. 2018, Cody Bellinger had 24 home runs, which is good, but he had an 814 OPS. Now, I do want to give him props because in 2019, he severely cut his strikeouts down and then also upped his walks, which is very impressive. I am going to tip my cap to that. But in my opinion, he is not more valuable than Christian Yelich because these stats are otherworldly. So let's face the facts right now. Christian Yelich and Cody Bellinger, they are both in completely different universes in terms of being a good defender. There's Bellinger, I'm holding my hand up high, and then there's Yelich, which is way down low. But we cannot argue with his offensive prowess and also his all-around game aside from his glove, which is not horrible, but it's not the best. Christian Yelich, I can promise you, would have won MVP if he did not get injured. He fouled a baseball off into his leg. I think he broke a bone in 130 games played. He racked up a 7.1 WAR, which was still lower than Cody Bellinger. I'll give him that. But he had a 329 batting average, 44 home runs, 30 stolen bases, a 1.1 OPS, which was higher than Mike Trout. If he can fix his defense, I am going to say this right now. Christian Yelich and Mike Trout might be on the same level as the best baseball player going forward because that's the only thing holding him back. They're about the same in speed. He actually had more stolen bases, talking about Christian Yelich, but the conversation between Bellinger and Yelich ends at 2018 stats because in 2018 Yelich was an MVP with 36 home runs, 110 RBIs, and a 1000 OPS, so I'm more confident that he can repeat as opposed to Cody Bellinger, who won the Rookie of the Year, and then in his sophomore season there is such a thing called the sophomore slump, so I'm not sure if you can hold it to him, but in my opinion, considering his bat and also his speed, Christian Yelich is just a little bit more valuable than Cody Bellinger going into 2020, and that's just because I've seen it done before. It all comes down to this. Everyone knows who's going to be the #1 player on this list, and no, it's not Bartolo Colon. Fun little fact for you guys. Do you know that Mike Trout's lowest single season WAR was 6.6 a couple seasons ago? I think it was 2017, 2016, one of those years. But he had a 6.6 WAR after playing in just 114 games. The man missed almost 50 games, and he had a higher WAR than most of the players on this list after playing a full season. If that doesn't convince you that Mike Trout is the best player of this list and the last decade, I don't know what to tell you. He won his 3rd MVP. He had an 8.3 WAR with 45 home runs, 104 RBIs, a 1083 OPS. Now, what's crazy is Mike Trout is kind of overrated as a defender. He had a -1 defensive run saves, a -1 DRS in the outfield. That's not good. It's, to be honest with you. So if anything, the only thing that lacks behind in Mike Trout's game is his glove on a consistent basis. He's going to make the flashy plays. He has a pretty good arm, but on a consistent 162 bases, his glove is actually worse than Cody Bellinger and almost worse than Christian Yelich, but he's so far and away the best baseball player in the world right now. He will be making my #1 player, and I am so excited to say that. I think that he is worth every single penny. He's almost underpaid, and he's about to get paid $400 million. But that's going to do it for this whole series. Again, if this is your first time on the channel, this was a full series. Go watch episodes number 1 through 5. I hope that you did enjoy. There were some high points, there were some low points. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and end the video with all of the full rankings. I'm going to go ahead and show them one by one from episodes 1 through 5. I hope that you did enjoy. Again, this was really just to spark some controversy, to have some fun. Baseball season is not really close to being here. We're still a couple months away. But yeah, thank you guys for supporting me always. I love you guys, and I'll catch you in the next one. What a fun time. Peace out.
And a Happy New Year.